Former judge at the International Court of Justice, and he was permanent representative to the UN. Meanwhile, the new Interior and Justice ministers have pledged to fight corruption. In Yemen, at least one person has died in clashes with government loyalists. 52 protesters were wounded in Ib city, 190 kilometers south of the capital, Sana'a. And another member of parliament has resigned from the ruling party, the 14th in the past week. Sheikh Hassan Ali Anan quit in defiance of the government's treatment of protesters. Saudi Arabia is reportedly building up its security forces in the eastern parts of the country. It comes in response to protests there calling for more rights for Shia Muslims. New video posted on a social media website appears to show a protest in Qatif on Friday. On Saturday, the Interior Minister banned all demonstrations in the kingdom. Former French President Jacques Chirac goes on trial on Monday on charges of corruption. But Chirac's legal troubles don't appear to be denting his popularity. We'll have the details. And one of the world's most active volcanoes puts on a spectacular display. Stay with AlJazeera.
Hello, we've got more in the way of southerly winds pushing temperatures up across the Arabian Peninsula. So here in Doha, we'll see highs of around 26 Celsius on Monday afternoon. Similar values there for Abu Dhabi. It's not all wall-to-wall sunshine though, a chance of some showers just around that southern end of the Red Sea. And I think as we go on through the next day or so, maybe one or two of those showers tending to push inland. But for the most part, it will be dry. And here in Doha, as I said, those temperatures pushing up, so we may well get up to 27 Celsius by Tuesday. Generally dry too across a good part of Iran. Pakistan generally dry as well, but still got some snow coming out of Afghanistan into the far north of India. Much of India will stay fine and dry. Northern half of Sri Lanka should stay fine and dry, but always a threat of a few showers across southern parts of the country over the next couple of days, so that could still affect the cricket in the coming days. Heavy showers continue through Madagascar, Mozambique, Tanzania, quite widespread showers these now. They're running their way all the way back into Zambia. Botswana, Angola could see some wet weather, but for South Africa, it is generally set fair. Johannesburg at around 29 Celsius, more in the way of sunshine here. More in the way of sunshine to come into much of Argentina, but some showers pushing in here. It stays very wet indeed across the Amazon basin.
Welcome back. These are the top stories on Al Jazeera. Libyan state television has broadcast an appearance by Muammar Gaddafi. He addressed crowds of supporters in Tripoli's Green Square. Well, Gaddafi's forces have retaken the towns of Bin Jawad in the center of the country, but rebel fighters have held positions close to the capital and in cities and towns in the east. Several British Special Forces soldiers have been released after the capture by opposition forces in eastern Libya. Hodal Abdelhamid explains.
It's very difficult for anyone here to believe that these 8 British nationals were actually on a diplomatic mission for the simple reason that they landed in the middle of the night by helicopter in a little town south of Benghazi. They had with them a whole lot of equipment, according to our sources, computers, maps, weapons and explosives. They were immediately intercepted by rebels and the residents of that area and handed over to authorities in Benghazi. Now, the National Council here in Benghazi says it had no idea that these 8 British nationals were on Libyan soil until they were handed over. They said that no one had told them about a diplomatic mission coming into the country.
The way they came in was inappropriate. They came into the country in the wrong way. We arrested them as soon as they touched the Libyan soil. For someone to just come in like that through the air without any permission or prior agreement is out of order. I mean, we have a state and we have a sovereignty. We have sovereignty over our borders, land, air and sea. Anybody who wants to come in must obtain a permission. I mean, how can this be a delegation of diplomats and come in this manner? We completely reject this.
They do raise the question that if they were really a diplomatic mission, why didn't they come through the normal route, and that will be through the Egyptian border with Libya. The National Council did say that at this stage it did not want to have any kind of international diplomatic row, so it handed them over to British authorities as quick as it could.
Afghanistan's President Hamid Karzai has rejected a U.S. apology for the killing of 9 Afghan boys in a NATO airstrike last week. Hundreds of protesters took to the streets of Kabul on Sunday to demonstrate against U.S. military operations. A statement from Karzai's office said the president had told General David Petraeus, the top commander of the coalition forces in Afghanistan, that civilian deaths in his country are no longer acceptable. Well, U.S. Defense Secretary Robert Gates has arrived in Afghanistan on an unannounced visit. Gates' visit comes as the beginning of a U.S. withdrawal of troops from Afghanistan in July draws closer. Afghanistan's President Hamid Karzai is due to announce a timetable for the gradual handover of security responsibility from NATO-led forces to Afghans. Truck drivers in Gaza are on an indefinite strike. They're protesting against Israel's permanent closure of the commercial Karni crossing in the North Strip. This leaves Kerem Abu Salem crossing in the south as the only way for goods to get in and out of Gaza. Nicole Johnston has more from Rafah.
Here at Rafah, hundreds of Gaza's truck drivers are on strike. They blocked the entrance to the Kerem Abu Salem crossing, and that means at the moment no supplies can get in and out of Gaza. Now they're striking because Israel has closed the Karni crossing, and the drivers are saying that they won't work until it reopens. Now, Karni used to be the main export and import point for Gaza, but when Hamas took over, Israel closed it, except for gravel and grain, and now Israel has shut it down completely.
Karni is a well-prepared crossing for security and infrastructure. It's cheaper. It's closer to the city, to the factories, to the warehouses, and to the wholesalers. In addition, from the Israeli seaport to the crossing, it's only 35 to 40 kilometres. But Kerem Abu Salem is 3 times further than Karni, and its capacity is very limited. It's also more expensive.
Now, Israel says that it's closed the Karni crossing for security reasons and that it's expanding the capacity of the Kerem Abu Salem crossing. But for people in Gaza, that's not enough, and businessmen and drivers here, they don't believe Israel. They say that they had a perfectly good crossing in the first place that never should have been closed, and that this is in fact another attempt by Israel to tighten the siege. Nicole Johnston, AlJazeera, Rafah.
The trial of former French President Jacques Chirac begins on Monday. He's facing charges of corruption which date back to his time as mayor of Paris. Tim Friend has the details.
In typical style, Jacques Chirac always insisted that he wanted to be treated like any other person facing trial. But that's unlikely to happen. The 78-year-old, one of France's longest-serving presidents, seems to grow in popularity with the French public, who view him with a particular fondness, the envy of other politicians. This is despite